stick-to-itiveness, to help them get through that first year. So we're offering a year free access to the Stride Professional Development Center. It's a ever-growing online database of courses that will help them in a variety of different ways. Classroom management, targeted instruction, and a host of other things. And the content will continuously grow. Again, it's just another resource that allows them to sharpen their practice, to feel like they're supported, because the research says that teachers are leaving in large part because they don't feel like they get enough professional support. So we really hope that helps new teachers. So again, this is for any new teacher who just graduated in the country. All you have to do is go to our site and sign on using the Teachers Win.
Yeah.
I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah, man. I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food? Like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
Oh, we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell them mama hungry.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
As technology continues to bring changes to the world of education, it's time we also reimagine teacher professional development. Gone are the days of one-size-fits-all learning that can only be accessed at a specific time and place. The Stride PD Center is an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that allow educators to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. The best professional development plans are those that include a level of flexibility and choice for educators. Whether you're a teacher, school, or district, visit us today to take charge of your learning.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
It's never too early to plant them. Compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor.
Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is still out on assignment. We have Charles Bishop in the building. I don't know where Mike is still operating from, but we'll see what we got here. Welcome to episode 425 Inside the HBCU Sports Lab show. Yeah, it's freezing on the thing.
Yeah, it looks like it's freezing on the output. Now it looks like we're up and going.
Welcome to episode 425 Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports from institutions large and small, from the NIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. We just call it HBCU sports pedagogy. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KCOH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer Ralph Cooper in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. Charles, how you doing today?
Doing well, Doc. We're up and going. It is a full slate of games this weekend. Man, looking forward to it. I mean, it starts tonight, actually.
Yeah, speak about starting tonight. I don't think you have Pine Bluff at Tulsa.
Yeah.
That's on ESPN, so you might catch a little bit about that while you're doing the show here. You can put that on mute while you listen to us. You have Virginia State, West Virginia State, that UNC Pembroke, SIAC tilt, not a conference game there, which Clark Atlanta and Kentucky State kicks it off this Labor Day weekend early on Thursday, getting it in. A couple of slate games for Friday, and like you said, a bunch of them on Saturday. Then we have a big one on Sunday, as many would say. So it's going to be fascinating to see what's going on here. With that being said,
we got
what you got?
and UAB tonight as well. Let's say we got North Carolina A&T and UAB tonight as well.
That's right. I forgot about that one. I'm glad you got that in. I didn't want the Aggies upset at me as they get down to Birmingham, going in there and get a clip of that. So it's going to be fascinating. As we talk about some stuff, taking a little bit about film and sporting, you know, how a soccer team was stripped of its earned glory a while back, and journalists made it mission to tell the story of HBCU sports. Coming to HBCUsports.com, Mark Wright has had the opportunity to tell some very important stories through his career in journalism and media, none closer to his heart and more important than the saga of the 1971 Howard University men's soccer team. I'll talk about this in class. Obviously, Spike Lee had a smaller clip for this as well, talking about this. This is the first HBCU to win a national soccer championship. First HBCU to win a championship in the NCAA Division I level. The controversy that surrounded this team at the time, which led to their title being stripped, is still a sore spot for all involved. Starting October 4th on Wondery Plus, the 1971 team and some of their classmates will get to tell the story as the, quote, Bison Project. I love it. A 3-part podcast series produced by Meadowlark Media and Campside Media with Wright Creative Production will debut. After its Wonder Plus debut, the Bison Project will be available on all podcast platforms during the week of November 15th, November 22nd, November 29th. You know, I'm surely going to check in on that. So I'm fascinated to see what that looks like as we get in that. So it's fascinating to see as we get into it. Let's take our first break. We'll come back on the other side and get more into some more talk about HBCU football. Stick with us. Be right back after this first break.
The seed to share the tradition and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit HBCUPrideJoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge. featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
You see, Head & Shoulders has scalp shield technology, protects against flakes even between washes. It's never not working.
Kind of like us. We're never not working. Number 15?
That's my rub.
Ooh, nice.
Never not working.
Never, ever, never, ever not working.
Welcome everybody to Juneau, Alaska.
I don't like this one.
Me neither.
Let's get out of here.
Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders scalp shield technology.
T. Madden and Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients. Call T. Madden and Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Watson and Charles. Charles here. Charles, I know you wanted some other news that you wanted to make sure we got out there. So with that being said, I'm gonna go straight to you. What's some other news of the day that you thought was germane as we get into football? I think you're going in a different direction though.
Yeah, HBCU men's basketball teams will participate in the third edition of a showcase event co-founded by Chris Paul. Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame has announced participating teams and dates and sites for the HBCU tip-off and the HBCU challenge event. So listen up, let's take a look at this on Saturday, November 18th and Sunday, November 19th. Cheney, Virginia Union, Tuskegee, and Winston-Salem State will play at the Mohegan Sun Arena in Uncasville, Connecticut. Cheney and Virginia Union will play at 5:30 Eastern, followed by Tuskegee and Winston State. The winner of those two contests will square off in the tip-off championship game the next night at 8:30, and the consolation game will be played between the two losing teams the day before. Then on December 16th and 17th, this game will be at Michelob Ultra Arena in Las Vegas. Two SWAC schools, one MEAC and one CAA institution will face off against each other. Defending SWAC champion Texas Southern and North Carolina A&T will face off at 8:30, while the defending MEAC champion Howard, they take on Jackson State after the conclusion of the first game. And then the next night, Howard and Texas Southern will meet in the matchup of conference champions with North Carolina A&T and Jackson State to follow. So huge matchups. So got some nice little cross-conference matchups going into this game. So looking forward to it when you take a look at conference champions, Howard, Texas Southern, also North Carolina A&T and Jackson State playing in these tip-off classics.
Yeah, I like it. It's going to be some fascinating games. You know, last year I did the early morning red-eye flight from Atlanta to Las Vegas. Question of the day, Charles. I see games have been pushed back. I got late games, 7:30 and 10 specifically on Saturday. Should I push it and try to get out? Got a flight out of Atlanta. Straight there at 5 o'clock and put me there at 7. Should I try to make it Saturday, or should I get up Sunday morning?
It depends on who's playing in the celebration. Now, if there's a certain fan base that's in the Celebration Bowl, I probably would kind of wait that one out and go Sunday morning. But just kind of depends. You got to play that one by ear. You got to make a decision somewhere mid-October. I was kind of looking because things might shake out a little bit between SWAC and MEAC somewhere around that time.
I like that. That's why I lean on him. That's why I lean on him. He knows exactly how to make the sense of it. Let me give a shout out to some of our lab listeners that's joined us as we get it going. Chuck Hunt, always in the building. Emma Price, Kevin Crawford, Jeff Wright is in here. Silas Edward McMorris, Byron Gautier, brother. Gautier's in here. Chad Cooper, Emma Price. I said Theron Waters is in here. Big Kane James, Chad Cooper, Edwin D. Moore, Carl Moore, Mary Allen is in here getting it. Jerome Jeep Sutton. Oh, it must be a big game. Band must be getting it done. Ricky Burton. Who else we got in here? LaShawn Harris, Reginald Johnson. I know you also wanted to shout out the bands as they had a big weekend last week, and I know a lot that we focused on was Celebration Mode. But right here in our backyard in Houston, while we were in Atlanta, you had the bands being celebrated here in terms of the HBCU National Battle of the Bands contest. What are your thoughts on that, Charles?
Let me say this. The Spartan Legion Band, my goodness, Norfolk State. Oh, my goodness. You talk about all the band forums and things of that nature. They have really given the thumbs up to Norfolk State's band. Tremendous performance last week. Southern got great kudos. Looking forward to an exciting band season. Mississippi Valley State marching over 200 some odd members. I mean, that was phenomenal to watch. Valley's band program back healthy once again. Some great performances last week. And then you and I, Doc, we were at the MEAC SWAC Challenge, Jackson State's performance against South Carolina State. And it's one of those metrics that I take a look at. Do you get the fans involved? Is there fan engagement with what you're doing? And sure enough, Jackson State Sonic Boom in the South, tremendous field show, always getting the fans engaged on certain downs and really hyping up the crowd. It was phenomenal to watch how bands, that is a metric that I pay attention to. Fan engagement. Are you getting your fans involved until your halftime performance? Really enjoyed that show last week. Had everybody singing What's Love Got to Do With It.
Yeah, that was a beautiful thing, man. And it had me singing with them a little bit up there in Fox. That was so impressive. But you have made me pay a little more attention to that, the band engagement side of it. And ever since then, it was so energizing for me in regards to understand that's one of the metrics when we start doing this top band list in regards to understanding the importance of the game, engagement of fans. Obviously, matchups are key in terms of you going up against a band to see who comes out of it, what's the best of it. I know some of the band aficionados out there just look at the band and the unique thing, but you know, I'm an HBCU marching sport fan side of it. I like contests. I like when there's a matchup, win, loss, you know, all this, who gets the vote, breaking down components of it. Yeah, that's good. You know, I let folks have it. They got to do it. It's on a big stage, and you know, we'll be there Friday night. We'll let it see how it falls out and see whether it matches up what we do on our side. We'll let them have it. But I'm just saying, from my perspective, you're gonna call yourself a sport. You're gonna say that you put all this energy out there, and we know they do. I mean, there has to be somebody that comes out of the contest in terms of matchups where there's a win, there's a loss.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not talking about soccer where there's some tie, but even soccer, when you get to the big time tournaments, World Cup, championships, they do a shootout. They don't even leave it just like forever. Come on, I don't get it. Mm-hmm. So I did want to give you some appreciation in terms of what that looks like in terms of matchup. So I thought that was a big deal. Also alluding to on here, Jamaica sprinting HBCU alumni wins world championship title from HBCU game day. William A. Former Johnson C. Smith sprinter took home the world title in the 100-meter hurdles on Thursday. The Jamaican sprinter ran a blistering 12.43 to claim her second gold at the World Championships. Her first came back in 2015. She finished third at the 2019 World Championships, following in the footsteps of her sister, Charmaine Williams. Danielle Williams attended Johnson C. Smith, where she was a standout at the Division II level. Both sisters have run for the Jamaican national team in international competitions. Danielle Williams won 9 NCAA titles, 8 individual, 1 relay, 13 CIAA championships, 11 individual, 2 relay, earned 13 All-American honors between 2013 2014. She also won USTFCCA National Women's Outdoor Track Athlete of the Year 3 times during that span. Shout out to Daniel Williams. Pretty impressive. I'm going to give you a chance to talk about what are your thoughts on that, Charles. That's just
a lot on the resume. Like you said, that's tremendously impressive. Just watching the track and field at the Worlds last week, tremendous to get all that in. Phenomenal. I can't say enough about it. I think Doc, you touched it. I mean, that is an impressive resume.
We'll get in here while we got a little space here. Talk about some of these mid-major matchups, Charles, as we get going before you get too far along with it. HBCU CIAA mid-major division games of the week. Even though this is CIAA matchup, the unique thing, we've gotten a lot of this in this space where you have these conference matchups that are set as non-conference games. Well, guess what? That happens in the CIAA this weekend to open things up. We have the new member, Bluefield State, going up against Livingston. Check this out. You know, there's more than 21 mid-major programs out there between the Division II programs and NEI programs, but I only did the top 21. When we get in here, we'll do the top 7 every week, but starting things out preseason, as you know, we jumped out. We did a 3-week series. We did the top 21. These teams just got into the top 21, Charles. You got a number 21, Bluefield State Big Blue. At number 20, Winston Blue Bears. Both of these with the blue acronym in their mascot name. It's fascinating as well. Saturday, September the 2nd at 5 p.m., Salisbury, North Carolina, Alumni Memorial Stadium. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup?
Give me the matchup again. Let me see it.
Bluefield State, Big Blue.
Okay.
Number 21 against number 20, Livingston Blue Bears. Like I said, CIAA matchup. This is a new kid to the block coming back, I guess you would say, in Bluefield State, Big Blue. When you look at it in a lot of ways, but it doesn't count in the conference matchups. But with that being said, what do you thought about this game?
Let's go with Bluefield State. Let's
it
see
is
what
in
happens.
Salisbury. It is in Salisbury.
Yeah, it is in Salisbury. So, yeah. So let's see what Bluefield brings to the table this upcoming season. That should be an interesting matchup. So let's see if they bring a little bit of that blue magic, if you will, to the field.
I'm in the same framework when you talk about this matchup. A lot of this to me is just to see, is Bluefield ready to take that next step? You know, they had a balanced schedule last year with a couple of CIAA teams, a couple of SIAC teams, and they were able to hold their own, but it's different when you're in the conference. So it's going to be fascinating in terms of this matchup to see, at least jumping out into it, can Bluefield State kind of make a statement and get into it?
It's on the blue turf this weekend?
Major division. Huh?
Is that the new blue turf that's going to be they're playing on the blue
that's
turf?
Blue Bears. They had that,
okay.
Blue
all right.
They had that, everybody was excited about it. So
live is
Big Blue, you got Blue Bears turf.
Yeah. That's going to be a fun.
Let's get into this seed matchup. Similar mid-major game. It's fascinating for me as well. This goes from top 10 matchup, team right out of the top 5. So top 7 matchup, if you would. It's in Montgomery, Crampton Bowl, Red Tails Classic. Saturday, September the 2nd at 6 o'clock. It's on ESPNU. This is another one of the games that's fascinating to me as well, because just like the CIAA matchup, it is a matchup between SIAC teams, but it does not count in the conference standings. This is a non-conference matchup between conference teams. Formerly, this would have been a team in the West versus a team in the East. But in this new format, you just have one ranking system, and the top 2 teams out of the SIAC play each other versus what you have in the CIAA. It still has the feature matchup between the North and the South. So things are a little different here. Number 4, Fort Valley State Wildcats versus number 6, Tuskegee Golden Tigers. New coaches debut in this matchup. So that is one fascinating thing to watch on both sides. New coaches, big brands in terms of what that looks like in a lot of ways. What are your thoughts in terms of what this looks like in this matchup?
I'm curious to see if Tuskegee is ready to make that next step in terms of getting back to dominance. I think this is a fascinating matchup. We take a look at them. Like you said, two big brands in the SIAC, Fort Valley and Tuskegee, 2 new head coaches. But there was a little bit of palpable buzz talking about the Tuskegee Golden Tigers at the SIC Media Day. So looking forward to seeing what Tuskegee puts out on the field this year.
Good deal. Good deal. Let's go into our second break. We'll come back on the other side, get in a little more talk and see what's going on in the next section as we move forward throughout the show.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Okay. Right back in.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab as we're back at it in this segment. Let's take a quick break. Well, let's hold on. I think we got a coach coming in here. We're going to bring him in here and get into this interview here with Coach Eddie Robinson. Coach Eddie Rob, as we like to say. Coach Rob, come on in.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Coach, how's it going?
Yes, we can. Mm-hmm.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, how's it going today?
Doing well,
Coach. There we go. There we go.
Oh man,
doing well. We not like you. You getting ready for a matchup, so we appreciate that you give us a little bit of time here.
Trying to take care of all the last minute stuff, just giving the coaches the clothes and the credentials, and trying to get all of that stuff done today, so we're not doing it tomorrow. But that's part of it. So
I understand. With that being said, as you enter in your second year, you got a little more on your plate, still getting different things done. How do you feel about the matchup? Let's jump right into it.
Can you hear us?
How do you feel about the matchup?
Well, I think it's going to be a good matchup. Southern, we all know Dooley. We know what he likes to do. He's a former wide receiver. So I think that says a whole lot. But I think for us, we just have to go out there and play good, sound football. It's the same thing as for any game. Run the football well, protect the football, don't turn it over, be good in the red zone.
When you get into it like that, since you talk about Dooley with the offensive mind in a lot of ways, are you defensive minded in terms of how you look at the game, or do you look at it going in a different direction? Coach, I was asking you, you mentioned it, Coach Dooley, offensive minded wide receiver. What about yourself? Are you more defensive minded in your approach to the game?
Well, I try not to be too conservative. You know, I'm probably a conservative natured person just in general. So, but I still, you know, you want to do an onside kick here. You want to run a fake there. You don't want to just be too basic. When I tell my offensive coordinator, I say, hey, man, you draw up whatever you want to do. I'm not going to limit you at all. And if it's too much, I'll tell you to scale back. Until I tell you to scale back, then keep going. So I haven't had to make that call yet. So it's been pretty good. But I think as a defensive coach, that's the I guess the nature that you are. Hey, let's play good physical defense, great special teams, and that'll keep us in every game. But I mean, we know in this day and age with the offense and all the rules, you have to be able to score points. So you got to be able to take shots also.
With that being said, Coach Robinson, conservative, I don't know about that. But if that's the way you want to look at it, I will say this. I don't know men that will make us top 5 conservative, but I guess there got to be one out there somewhere. With that being said, I'm going to let Charles follow up with the question.
Yeah, Coach, I wanted to ask, have there been any
Coach, you got on mute. We got to get your comment back on that. So I want them to say that we didn't give you a chance to respond. I can see your lips, so go ahead.
Looks like we're losing a little bit there.
Yeah. I hate we missed that comment
hey,
there.
Coach, turn your camera off, but turn your audio on. There you go.
I'm gonna send it to another phone, so that may work better.
Okay. No problem. Yeah, it's a pretty big matchup when you take a look at Southern and Alabama State this weekend, Doc. Especially when you're talking about some couple of new pieces, especially looking at Southern. Harold Blood taking over at quarterback. Sounds good. Yeah.
Now.
Okay, let's see if we can get it going.
Okay, Coach. Let me ask you this, and you mentioned this, I believe, in the coach's call, but the addition of former head coach Terry Sims to your staff, what does it mean to you to have another head coach, another voice there within the coaching staff?
I couldn't hear you. It kind of cut off on and off.
Okay, I was asking you about the addition of Coach Terry Sims to your coaching staff. What does it mean? Can you hear me, Coach?
Yep. Let me. You want me to click out and then try to join back again?
Sure.
All right. Yeah, let's try that.
Quick break.
All right.
Let's take a quick break, Roy, and then we'll come back and try to bring Coach back in.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember. They can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
At CDW, we get speed as the new currency of success.
Our team spends way too much time tending to outdated applications and software when they should be focused on driving application agility and innovation.
CDW Amplify Development Services modernizes software and application development to help accelerate innovation and digital transformation.
So you mean building new applications, UI, and mobile interfaces?
Well, you said you needed to innovate more quickly.
Oh, so he's a listener.
To do more at scale, trust CDW Amplify Development Services.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
That's a pretty tight spot.
Watch this.
Of course your Buick parks itself. That's so you.
It's just up here on the right.
Of course you know where we're going. That's so you.
Kinda got a 6th sense.
And a head-up display.
here.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know 'em like I know 'em, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We have Coach Eddie Robinson back in here for interviewers. We close it up here. Head coach of Alabama State Hornets, talking about the big matchup against Southern University this weekend. Charles, you had a follow-up question you want to get in here.
Yeah, Coach, I wanted to ask about Terry Sims, the addition of Terry Sims to your staff. What does it mean to have another trusted voice on this coaching staff?
That's been really big. I mean, his door connects to mine. We were just having a conversation, so I think to have another veteran coach, I think in this profession, like in life, you always have to have great mentors. I talk with Coach Frazier quite a bit from old Prairie View days, and so Coach Greg Williams. But I think especially with his experience, not just with football, but just how to deal with kids, administration, just everything that goes on with running the program. So to have him here has been really big for me, and I know he'll be a head coach again someday soon, but hopefully, we can do some great things before he moves on.
Are there any names and faces that you want your fans and the HBCU fans in general be looking for this weekend with the Alabama State's program?
I mean, I think it's just a big weekend. I mean, to play Southern at home, as soon as that schedule came out, Labor Day Classic, the AD told me it was a possibility. And so even though it's a game that's not a conference game per se, but, whenever you're playing a team in the West, you want to go out there and play well. And we all know about the history of Southern University. And, I grew up in New Orleans going to the Bayou Classic, so very familiar with them. We played them every year when I was at Alabama State, and just a real big off the season. You're playing a good quality opponent. They represented the West last year, so you know that they can they can put some points on the board and give you a good fight. So it'll let you know exactly where you are early on, and that's what you want.
Yes, indeed.
What were your expectations coming into practice for this fall season? How were things going for you?
I'm sorry, say that again.
I said, what were your expectations coming into this camp before you got into the season? How were things on both sides of the ball looking? Coach, I was just asking you, coming into this season in terms of camp, how do you feel things are looking coming out of camp, getting into ready for this big game this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, from a camp standpoint, everything's been going pretty good. We had one guy that was kind of banged up, but for the most part, everybody else has been pretty good. We a couple guys cramping, stuff like that, but that hasn't been that big of a deal. And had a couple scrimmages at 10:30, 11 o'clock in the heat of the day. And so I was hot. So I know the kids were hot. So but you got to go through that. That's part of sacrifice and part of giving it up in this time of the year, in the summer and in fall camp. So once you get into September, hopefully everything is you've done enough and you're in shape enough that you can go out there and compete. And that first game, you don't know what kind of shape you're in until you get into it. But I feel like the guys have prepared really hard. So we'll make sure that they're out there and watered up and ready to go, and just kind of get it going, get the season started.
Mm-hmm. We'll look forward to it. You got a busy schedule, trying to close out things as you get ready for this big game on Saturday. We'll certainly be watching it. Look forward to seeing the Hornets have a great season. With that being said, make sure you the Dr. Jason Cavil that I'm looking for. With that being said, we'll come back. We'll go on the other side. We'll give you time back, Coach. Let's take our last break. We'll come into it and get back to some other HBCU sports talk. Thank you, Coach.
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Is you.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food? Like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Washington Charles Bishop. Wanted to get back into this matchup as we was talking about Coach Eddie Robinson, head coach of the Alabama State Hornets. That is a game that's Montgomery, Charles, Labor Day Classic. A lot of these Labor Day Classics out here, big matches.
Yeah.
ASU Stadium, as you know, this is another one of those examples of you have a SWAC game, but it's played as a non-conference game, as we just saw that with our CIAA and SIAC matchups. This game is also on Saturday, September the 2nd at 5 p.m. Central Time. I have it as the number 16 coming into the preseason poll, the Southern Jaguars. At number 12, Alabama State Hornets. This is a West versus an East matchup, as you know. What are your thoughts coming in this contest? What are you going to glean based on what you hear or see based on the outcome?
I think the biggest thing for Alabama State is, can they get any offense? Can D. Davis sort of have a bounce back season? I think what you looked at last year with regards to Alabama State, they're one of the better defenses in the SWAC. And they defensively, they're a very scary ball club, especially with Bubba Adams running around all over the place. The first time since 2015 that they had a winning record, I think that's huge for Alabama State's program. But they got to get some offense. They only averaged a little less than 20 points a game last season, a little bit over 300 yards total offense. That's not going to get it done in terms of the way SWAC offenses fly up and down the field. So that's the question. They also lost some pretty big pieces. You got Ja'Cory Merritt that's no longer in the backfield. Miles Crowley is now over at Grambling. And then Jeremiah Hickson also transferred out. So you got some pieces to fill in on the defensive side of the ball, but on the offensive side of the ball. But defensively, they're as stout as anybody in the entire SWAC conference. Bubba Adams, and then you got another individual by Adrian Maddox, who leads the secondary. He's one of the top defenders in the league, all SWAC guys. So they got some pieces. Question is, offensively, can they put some points up on a stout Southern defense? And they'd stout. When I say stout, Southern got some pieces along the defensive line that you better be concerned about. And then, you know, they're going to run the ball a little bit more this year. Kobe Dillon, Jared Sims, some tremendous running backs there for the Southern Jaguars.
Let's take this quick break, come back on the other side, and we'll see if we can get in the coach from Southern University, talk a little bit more about that side of the ball. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
As technology continues to bring changes to the world of education, it's time we also reimagine teacher professional development. Gone are the days of one-size-fits-all learning that can only be accessed at a specific time and place. The Stride PD Center is an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that allow educators to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. The best professional development plans are those that include a level of flexibility and choice for educators. Whether you're a teacher, school, or district, visit us today to take charge of your learning.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
Compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
I feel you. I understand it. This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab with none other than Coach Eric Dooley, the head football coach of Southern University. This is Dr. Cavil's inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Watson and Charles Bishop. Coach Dooley, I know you're coming out of practice, so we appreciate you giving some of the time before this big game against Alabama State. How you feeling about the season?
You know, I feel real good. I'm excited about the season. You know, I thought we had a very, very competitive camp with the guys we brought in and the guys that we already had. And you can see that I think we are further along than where we were at this time last year. That doesn't mean anything until you kick it off. But I do feel good about where we are. I do know some things we need to work on, but I do like where we are right now.
Now, obviously, everybody looks at what you're able to do from an offensive perspective, but in a lot of ways, people don't pay attention as much in terms of what you're able to get done a lot on the defensive side of the ball. But I'm going to stick on offense. You know, it sells tickets. So with that being said, you got your trigger man. How do you feel in regards to being led at the quarterback position?
You know, I thought the young man came into the spring with the right mindset. I thought all the quarterbacks did, but Blood in particular, I thought he had the right mindset. He was concentrating on his academics because he did graduate and waiting to get accepted into law school. But just for him to have a mindset and understand what it takes to be a leader, what it takes to run this offense, and what it takes to be the Jaguar football team leader, I thought that he did a great job. And, you know, I got to take my hat off to Coach Willie Totten. He came in, hit the ground running, got this young man to come up under him, all the quarterbacks for that matter, and just try to put him in the right direction so that they can be successful. But the young man, you got to take your hat off to him, worked extremely hard.
Good deal. Charles, you want to follow up?
Well, yeah, and I actually want to follow up on that statement, Coach Dooley, in terms of what has Willie Totten meant to this program, especially a SWAC legend mentoring your quarterback room.
You know, I think it means a lot, you know, just for the things he's able to do and come in. He can tell them from experience, and he can tell them from just the knowledge. So I think that's huge, and especially huge when someone played that position and played at a high level. And some of the things that he's done, some of these young men are too young to even know what he did. But, you know, everybody like to Google folks, so it's not hard to Google him and find out what he brought to the Southwestern Athletic Conference and what type of player he was. And don't get me wrong, the young man that I had here that was mentoring those guys, Jonathan Williams, he did a great job for me. You know, you try to put those guys in position to where if that opportunity presents itself, that they can move up because they want to be coordinated. I don't want a guy that just want to continue to remain where they are. I want them to be coming after my job because that's just going to make more competition.
Let me follow up and ask this question. You already had a stacked running back room, but you had a piece like Gary Qualls coming in to this program. How are you going to share the ball, if you will, with the running backs that you have in the room? I was very impressed by just looking at it on paper, like, oh my God, Southern can run the ball this season.
Well, you know, here's my thing that I've been saying since I've become an offensive coordinator. There's enough food at the table. You just got to sit there. So if all those running backs sit to the table, they're gonna eat.
That's huge. That's huge.
Oh, talking about eating. I'm gonna go to the other side of the ball with the defense. Obviously, your front four, you had some folks that were really talented in that front four, and you lost some of those pieces. But there was depth there. And it's my understanding on the recruiting trails, you were able to get even some more players in there. Talk a little bit on the defensive side. Let's start with that front four.
You know, I'm excited about that front four. I'm sad to lose Dumas. I really haven't had a season without a Dumas. For him to come and play so well for me, coming out of high school and going through the ranks. So it's kind of hard to replace that guy and then replace some other guys that we had on that front four in the Cam Peterson. But I tell folks all the time, and it's not being cocky or arrogant, I'm not trying to replace Dumas Cam Peterson. I'm trying to get better. And that's what you got to go after. You know, you can't become complacent because one guy that you had, you got to take it up to another level. Because apparently what we had last year we thought was great wasn't good enough because we didn't win it all. So when you don't win it all, you got to do something a little different than what you did last year. So we had to replenish that defensive line, and we was fortunate enough through the assistant coaches to go out and get some guys that we feel can help us.
How much of a jump start is that being in the SWAC championship last season? How much does that jump start you coming into the 2023 year?
Well, you know, my mindset, I was very, very disappointed. I just was disappointed. I commended the guys because I thought they did a great job in getting there, but the goal is never just to get there. No one remember the second place team. You know, that's just something no one would ever remember. But I will say this here, having the opportunity to play as long as we did, it brought some excitement going into the spring ball, understanding where we were last year and how better we can become this year.
Talk a little bit about that hunger. You have championships on your resume in many different ways, assistant, coordinator, and things of that nature. But as a head coach, the last 2 years, you were on the edge. You were right there playing in the SWAC championship game. What level of desire, how does that push you in regards to closing the gap and getting one as a head coach, if you would? And then I imagine your mindset getting many more.
You know, I will say this here in a good way. I've been fortunate enough to be a part of and help some other guys to get theirs. Now it's my time. And I think the things that you have to do, you got to continue to stay hungry as well as thirsty for those type things. And regardless of what, my goal is to try to get us where I know we want to be at. So I always accept challenges. You know, so many times people say you're going to Southern University, you know the expectations. I say, no, they got to know my expectations. I think my expectations are a lot higher than what some folks are probably giving credit. I understand what everybody wants, but my thing is I have to win it all. And to me, it's all or nothing too. That's the way I look at it. You got to win it. So I have a deep hunger to winning one as a head coach.
Yeah, I can testify to that, to the mindset that you bring to the table for any institution, team that you're leading in regards to people understanding your desires. With that being said, let me take a big picture, if you would. Last question here. So wanted to ask you about this schedule. I've been looking at some of these schedules for SWAC teams, and not just overall. Obviously, there's a lot of good teams. I think both divisions are pretty deeper as they've been in a while, but also in terms of like games, in terms of back-to-back, 3 games in a row. I know usually coaches look at one game at a time. How do you break season when you start looking at a schedule outside of what you're telling your team to focus on the next game and your coaches?
The thing that I like to tell them to keep that tunnel vision, understand that if we go 1-0, 11 weeks, we'll be where we want to be at. And all those teams that's down the road, we know that they're there. You know, a lot of coaches can say, well, I'm not worried about this team. I'm not looking at this team. You know they're on the schedule. I mean, you look at your schedule. That's why you look at it. You don't tell them to give you your first game. You tell them to give you a schedule. So you know what's there, but you just got to discipline yourself. You want to know what's there, but you got to discipline yourself to know that, hey, let's just take the elephant out the room. I know that Jackson is the next week, but Jackson is, when I use that acronym WIN, Jackson is not what's important now. What's important now is Alabama State. So I can understand that I play Alabama State, I play Jackson State, I play Alabama A&M. I know my schedule. I play the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. But what's important now? Alabama State.
I take that perspective, Coach, and not just doing that coach talk. But go ahead, Charles, because that just I love that frame of mind.
Yeah, but it's sort of unique. You essentially have two preseason games, if you will, with Alabama State and Jackson State, because they don't count in the standings. But in terms of going forward or with the schedule, how much does it help to kind of see the personnel out there against live competition, but it doesn't hurt you?
No, it hurts you. It counts. When you play a SWAC opponent, it counts. There's no such thing in my mind that it don't count. We playing SWAC. It don't matter. And if you want to be the top team in the Southwestern Athletic Conference, it doesn't matter how the schedule fall or whether it count or don't count. I understand how the conference have it set up. Or as I know, Alabama State count for me.
Sure thing, no doubt.
It count on the legend.
Yes, indeed.
Coach. Anything you want to leave with us that we didn't ask you that you want to make sure that your fans, supporters, alumni, or just in general that you want our viewers to know?
Well, I tell you what, I thought the young men worked extremely hard. Of course, now we're going to put the test on the road to find out just where we are, but I like where we are. And I tell you what, it's going to be an exciting time down there. I know that it's going to probably be a sold-out crowd. I know the Jaguar Nation is going to travel. So I want our fans to not meet us there, but beat us there so we can get ready to perform and put on a show.
It's Thursday. Darby's already in the road.
You know it. Best dressed coach in the conference. I'm trying to keep up with him, as you see. I got the Taylor. I'm going to make sure I get the other Taylors because I know you got a couple of them, Coach. Don't be greedy. You know, you're a believer. You're a blessed man. You got to share. You got to share, brother.
You got to share. The Lord bless you to bless others.
There it is.
There you go. Amen. With that being said, we'll take our last break. This is Dr. Bills inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Hope you enjoyed our interview with Coach Eric Dooley, head football coach of Southern University, as he gets prepared for Week 1 game against Alabama State. The Hornets. We'll be right back after this last break.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Wills inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Charles, I wanted to ask you about a couple of more matchups before we close out this part of the show, and then we'll wrap it up and see these games as we get into them. We'll come back on Sunday and give our analysis of what takes place. And obviously we'll get a chance to touch on a little bit with some of the other members of the core team about that big matchup on Sunday. But let's not look too far ahead. We got some good games on Saturday. One of them, if you would, is going to focus on this Grambling and Hampton. Harrison, New Jersey, Red Bull Stadium, Brick City Classic. That is what was the Colonial, which now is the Coastal Athletic Association versus SWAC. I have this coming into this season, number 17 Hampton Pirates at number 13 Grambling State Tigers. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup?
Very intriguing. When you talk about a SWAC taking on a CAA opponent in Hampton, And I've often said, historically, when we look at the Grambling program, they don't stay down very long. They've been down under 500 past 2 seasons, and they're going to have to improve on the defensive side of the ball. But no better place than defensive end when you talk about Sundiata Anderson, who comes in the preseason defensive player of the year. He gets after the quarterback. The question for Grambling, who is going to be the quarterback? Will we see Miles Crawley, who's transferred in from Alabama State, or will they continue to go with the incumbent there with Grambling? But they're going to have to score some points to beat this Hampton football team. Floyd Chalk is another individual that I'm looking forward to watching. He was the MVP of the Bayou Classic. So we'll see what this Grambling team holds.
We have a couple of mid-major versus major division matchups this weekend. One of them is the Delaware State out of the MEAC, as you know, and Bowie State. But the one that I want us to first focus on is a mid-major number 8 Virginia State Trojans at number 16 Norfolk State Spartans, which is another Labor Day Classic. This one, the Norfolk, Virginia area rivalry, if you would, with William Dick Price Stadium. This is a 1 o'clock matchup on Saturday. That is September the 2nd, as you know. Again, it's number 8, mid-major Virginia State Trojans. We just heard a little bit about Dr. Henry Frazier III, as Coach Eddie Robinson told them they lean on him. Well, he'll be faced in this matchup. We talked to Southern University. We have a former coach out of Southern University at Norfolk State, number 16. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup? It's fascinating when you talk about all these different ways with all these coaches that are connected.
Yeah, I don't want to see Henry Frazier first game of the season. That's scary. And that's what makes this game rather intriguing with Virginia State, Norfolk State. But Norfolk State is going to have to turn the corner a little bit this season. And it begins behind the center for Norfolk State to see if they can be a player in the MEAC, because really nobody's talking about this Norfolk State team. And, you know, it's got to rub Dawson Odoms the wrong way. I think Dawson Odoms has a little bit of a chip on the shoulder in terms of putting a team out there that's going to become really competitive this upcoming season. But, ooh, if there's an upset in the making, this could be the one.
This is the one you got your eyes on. In the Magic app.
Yeah.
Well, let's go to North Carolina. Durham, that is. Oak Kelly Riddick Stadium. Maroon and gray game. CIAA versus MEAC again. The third one we're talking about here. Now, this is a number 14 Winston-Salem State Rams at number 1 North Carolina Central Eagles in the major division. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the number 1 team at the major division level, North Carolina Central. I'm not sure if this is a matchup in terms of the scoreboard, but it is a rivalry game. OCIAA friends had a touch of the MEAC when Winston-Salem State moved up there, but before North Carolina Central was able to play him in a contest as a MEAC member, as they decided to move up, Winston-Salem State said they're going back to the CIAA. But this game will be played. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup? Can it even be close?
Well, I'm putting all the pressure on Stephen Gaither to give the pregame speech in this one for his Winston-Salem State Rams, and let's see what happens from there. But, yeah, you're going up against probably the most stacked team in HBCU football, a team that's ranked in the FCS national rankings, arguably the best player in HBCU football, in Davis Richards. So that's a tough ask for the Winston-Salem State Rams. So I'm counting on Stephen Gaither, Stephen A. Smith to give all the pregame speech they can to this Ram squad taking on North Carolina Central this weekend.
Well, we got number 4 Jackson State Tigers at number 2 Florida A&M. We're not going to talk about that. Orange Blossom, this is just a tease. Orange Blossom Classic, Miami Gardens, Florida, Hard Rock Stadium. That is Sunday, September the 3rd. I did want to remind people of that. So we'll come back Sunday morning, 9 o'clock Central Time. You can catch us then, and we'll give you some insight on what took place all the way from Thursday to Saturday, those key matchups that we talk about, and then we'll lead into that matchup and have more folks to break down and give their thoughts in terms of all these matchups, including that big game. But right here in our backyard, Saturday night, we'll be here in Houston at Shell Energy Stadium for the Labor Day Classic that we know the best in this area that we have our focus on. It's very intriguing. 2 teams that are not separated by a lot. Prairie View's held the edge in terms of consecutive wins, 8. And what is it, 12 of the last 14 or something like that. This is after Texas Southern went on a run of their own 14 games, if you would. But will the ties change? This is number 11, Prairie View A&M Panthers coming into the season at number 9, Texas Southern Tigers. 2 quarterbacks that were in the seat, getting it done. One of them getting a lot of accolades and the other one not so much. But I think there might be some defense that people want to keep their eyes on in this matchup to see how it falls out, even though most people are going to be focused on the quarterbacks and the offensive side of the ball. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup, Charles?
I mean, you touched on it, Doc. Prairie View has won 8 straight Labor Day Classics and 16 out of the last 19 Labor Day Classics. What I'm looking for in this game is who is going to be the defense to show up, because both of these teams, I think, offensively are loaded. I bumped into Andrew Body today. He said he wished he could play today. I mean, he's looking forward to this matchup on Saturday. Interesting stat with Andrew Body. Texas Southern is 5-2 when he throws for 2 or more touchdowns. So I expect him to put the ball in the air this upcoming Saturday. So it's going to be a fascinating matchup. You talk about Prairie View. They come into this game. They were the SWAC's leading rushing team last season, and they add another piece in Caleb Johnson, who transfers in from Mississippi Valley State. And also, keep an eye on Brian Jenkins, transfer from Alabama A&M. When healthy, he's one of the more dynamic players in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. So I think you're going to get some offensive fireworks. Very interesting piece, I think, that has been added to Texas Southern, and that's defensive coordinator Everett Todd, formerly of Grambling. He was the architect of those Grambling teams that made it to the Celebration Bowl, had a great SWAC championship run during the mid-2000s there, 2004. 14, 15, 16, somewhere along there. But you're talking about a guy who's going to be aggressive. You remember the Grambling defensive teams, they really got after teams in terms of stopping the run and flying around and getting after quarterback. So we'll see if he brings that to Texas Southern.
Man, think about that. We just had Coach Eric Dooley, who was on the offensive coordinator side of those Grambling teams with him leading the defense. Think about when that matchup comes up with Texas Southern and Southern. So it'll be fascinating, but we got to start here, and we'll start Labor Day with Prairie View and Texas Southern in that matchup. Man, it's going to be fun to get into some HBCU ballers finally here, where we have multiple teams that we can look at and break it down. While things got off the mat last weekend, it's a full slate this weekend. With that being said, we want to say thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Watson and Charles Bishop. Again, I want to thank our guests, Coach Eddie Robinson of the Alabama State Hornets, and then Coach Eric Dooley of Southern University Jaguars. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Watson, Charles Bishop, every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. Remember to check us out as we bring back and debut this Sunday, our Sunday edition at 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. We look forward to Sunday as we get the latest news in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. That's DrKenyattaCavil. Charles, is going to be interesting. We're going to have some people that are riding the high emotions. Most are riding the low emotion, but it's just week 1.
It's week 1. Do not get on the ledge. Do not get on the ledge week 1. It is week 1.
Thank you. Thank you. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Twitter. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. Thanks all the lab listeners jumping in here and celebrating us and getting in there. I know you're excited. We see you got it going on. With that being said, we're going to say dream big, continue to move forward. But as we do that, make sure you understand the Big Cat Classic is on BCSN as you have Florida Memorial against Edward Waters. Our team will be producing that, so you can check that on BCSN. The magic of the Florida will be upon you with the Big Cat Classic, and that is with Edward Waters, a Division II program out of the SIAC. And then we have our independent NIA program, if you would, Florida Memorial. Big matchups between those two private schools. One of them put a lot of offense, so it'll be interesting to see, as you talked about on Tuesday, what that looks like.
Almost 700 yards offense, yeah.
Woo, that's a lot. That's a lot, Charles.
Yeah, it is.
Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Of course.
Roy?
Lecture.
Dismiss.